In today's reflection, let us make our journey with God to the desert. Let us explore the hidden richness of that dry land. Wilderness experience is not only limited to Israelites, but let us also see how God uses wilderness in our lives too. How God unfolds His richness in the desert. In the first phase, God disapproves arrogance. And geography and the living environment can play a role in fostering arrogance and discontentment in our day-to-day lives. Think of Israel's experience before they were in Egypt. Egypt is one of the wonderful places to live. The Nile River provided food and water and one of the best ecosystems in the ancient world. When everything else was drying out and the people were experiencing famine, people would go to Egypt. And Egypt is also a place of grand human accomplishment. Some of the great innovations come from here, and Egyptians celebrate life. Now, what happens when you are led into wilderness? And this is where you find everything that Egypt is not. The abundance of Egypt is removed from you. Wilderness is a place without food and drink, of course. It's a place where all your time is consumed with the question of where is survival. And here you encounter a horizon that is not made by humankind but by the Almighty. And wilderness is a place that fosters humbleness. It is a place of testing, and you begin to face yourself and its naked truth. You are forced to take a stand in all humility and simplicity. And just like God came to Israel in the wilderness with a very soul-searching question, He comes to us also asking, will you trust me? Will you trust me now? Will you trust me when all the fundamentals for survival are kept out of your sight? A big deal indeed. A big question. And this question has something still deeper, friends. It is not a question that He asks you, keeping you amidst the abundance of life's glory. No. He strips you off of all your possessions, of all your comforts, and separates and takes you in His hand and places you into the heart of nothingness. From the wilderness of your living environment, God expects a response from you. He expects to hear from you. And everything that proceeds hereafter will depend on your decision. And it happened with Israelites too. Initially, they were removed only for 2 years, but because of their disobedience and discontentment, their term was extended to remain in the wilderness. And we find the answer the Israelites give to God in the book of Numbers, chapter 20, verse 4. They quarreled with Moses and said, if only we had died when our brothers fell dead before the Lord. Why did you bring the Lord's community into this wilderness, that we and our livestock should die here? Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to this terrible place? It was no grain or figs, grapevines or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. And friends, we get to hear their answer. Definitely their answer was no. We don't trust you, God. Please take us back to our land of abundance. Wilderness definitely is a place of question. It's a place of insecurity. It's a place of fear. God doesn't reveal His mind prior to their response. He just asks, will you still trust me? Will you still count on me? This question has more in store than the question that is triggered in our minds. God uses wilderness to teach us. It can break us down. It can show us our limitations. Because He is a God who cares through all seasons of our lives. He does not merely expect us to go close to Him during the season of winter and go astray as the summer sets in. For He is a God of all seasons and times. In Deuteronomy we hear it is said, He humbled you, and in your anger He gave you manna to eat. But He did not provide food before you were hungry. Now, why did God do this way? He waited that their wilderness hunger had really built up inside them and then provided with miraculous food. And why did God do that? Moses tells us to teach them. To teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of God. In its appearance, the wilderness seems to lack everything. Yes, it does. And we are made to feel it too. We are caused to feel the absence of everything that would require for our very survival. Yes, when God has a plan, He takes you and me through the wilderness and gets things worked in His favor, the way He desires. He carries us away. He isolates us. He shuts the doors of all possibilities that are human made and opens up to the God ordained ways. But here our God, through the natural and supernatural way, provides us. And God told Moses to strike on the rock, and he did it, and there came water gushing out. And God did it day after day until they reached the promised land, friends. He did it in order to tell them that their God is trustworthy, that your God is capable of doing what is impossible to all of you, that He looks after His own flock. And so we can count on Him. We can look up to Him in times of need. And I am going to be there for you always. This is the greatest learning we do being in the wilderness. So friends, let us remember that everyone's wilderness experience is unique and there is a valid reason why God is giving us that experience. And let us believe that just as Deuteronomy 8 explains the reason why the Israelites were given the experience of being in the wilderness for 40 years, God also has a rewarding reason by letting us go through the wilderness of our lives. May we keep our trust in this God who surprises through His way. May no pain and frustrations in life take us away from God, the wellspring of our life's source. Amen.